What's up guys, Rich here with the Epos 3504 titanium. And it's in 41.5 millimeters. It's 13.3 millimeters tall, and it uses a 22 millimeter strap width. I have this on the integrated rubber strap, but it's also available on a NATO strap or a titanium bracelet as well. And this is a really nice quality, soft and pliable rubber strap right out of the box. And as nice as this strap is, there is something worth noting, but we'll cover that a little later. But I think there are two callouts or two stars of the 3504, and one of them has to be this titanium case, and the other this stunning dial. I think it just works all around. So for staying on the dial, they call this the green sunray, but it's also available in a blue sunray or a black sunray dial in addition to this green. But really, it's also, I could call this a fume dial, because like a fume dial, this one starts off with a medium green in the center of the dial, and then at different lighting angles or at the turn of our wrist, it's a very dark green blackish toward the outer edge of this dial. It just works really nicely. It's just a really gorgeous looking dial here. The other part of this dial that I really like is the use of these number dial or the Arabic numerals here. Instead of the more popular and common baton indices or round indices or stick indices, I like the look of the numbers here. I think it's a fresher look. And for wondering or thinking to ourselves that you prefer the round indices because of the loom, well, these numbers are fully loomed inside, as are the hour hand and the minute hand and the seconds hand. So Epos did a really nice job here. I think the design works here. I think it's fresh looking because of the numbers. It's different from a lot of the dive watches. And we're going to notice that the Cyclops lens here. And I know that's going to divide us because a lot of us have different feelings on the Cyclops lens. For me, I like having a date function on my watch. I'm fine with a date or without a date. I'm fine with the Cyclops lens or without the Cyclops lens. But what I will say about the Cyclops lens is that Epos did a really nice job with it. Meaning, if we look at the numbers under, not through the Cyclops lens, but under it, and you guys can't really see it, but I can. The number is a lot smaller and skinnier with the text. But if we look at it from the top through the Cyclops lens, and any angle, as long as we're above on the Cyclops lens, it is noticeably bigger. And I'm not sure if it's actually 2.5 times magnification, the way that we would expect from a Rolex Cyclops lens, but it is much bigger than underneath it. So a lot of times we'll get a Cyclops lens on a watch and they'll do it for obvious reason, making it an homage, but those are cosmetic purposes. You don't get the full magnification on the date through a lot of the Cyclops lens. Here it does with the Epos. So Epos did a nice job of making this Cyclops lens fully functional and efficient rather than just cosmetic purposes. The other special part of this watch, I would say, or the call out, is this titanium case, this brushed and polished finishing. And on this side, we will notice that it has a helium escape valve or helium release. Again, this is something I'm fine with or without it there. Most of us, 99.5% of us, or 99.8, or even probably 99.99% of us will never need this because we do not go underwater that deep. But I suppose this would speak to the seriousness of the dive watch, meaning that it can take deep submersions with that helium escape valve. So again, this is something I'm fine with or without. On the other side of the case, it has crown guards and an oversized crown. So if we have somewhat thicker fingers, we will have no problem accessing the signed crown. And it is water resistant to 50 meters or 500 feet. So that is consistent with the helium escape valve and with its solid caseback. And I'm really glad that Epos went with a solid caseback versus an exhibition caseback. And they did a nice job with this design of the caseback. It's a silhouette of a diver, but it's also deeply etched in there. So it's not just stenciled in or shallow engraving there. They did a nice, it's really deep. They did a really nice job with this. And there are some text on there. It's water resistant, sapphire crystal on the front, the model number, Swiss made. So a nice tasteful job with the case back. It's not overkill, but to me, it's just the right amount of restraint and an appropriate case back for this. It's also appropriate because for a watch with a helium escape valve and its water resistance to 50 meters, it's a screwed in solid case back, which makes sense for the design of this watch. It's consistent with the overall seriousness of this dive watch. And because it is a solid caseback, what is the movement that is powering the 3504 titanium? It's the Swiss Made 200 automatic movement. And I've been getting an accuracy of plus 4 to 5 seconds a day. And that is, the Epos did a really nice job with that. Although they don't brag about that or mention about the accuracy on their website, they just mention this movement. And I think it's worth noting that they should mention that, because that is a huge plus and bragging rights to have a movement with 4 to 5 seconds accuracy a day, because that is also within the COSC standards of minus 4 seconds to plus 6 seconds a day. But I have a feeling that they do regulate the movement, because we will not get that type of accuracy on a Made 200 movement out of the box without any adjusting or any regulating of the movement. So this is why I suspect that they do regulate the movement, because of the accuracy. But again, I think Epos should brag about that and make that a selling point, because that is definitely something worth noting on the movement here. So earlier, you might remember when I said this about the strap. And as nice as this strap is, there is something worth noting, but we'll cover that a little later. And while this is a really nice integrated rubber strap, soft and pliable, like I said, right out of the box, we might also be able to tell that it's rather on the longer side, which might be intended to wear over our wetsuit, again, consistent with the helium escape valve and the deep submersion we can take this watch underwater with. But it is a little bit longer on the longer side, which is not an issue, which is not a problem, but it's worth noting, because if you have smaller wrists like I do on a 6.5-inch wrist, I wouldn't mind. I wear this on the last hole because I like to wear my watches snug, but I wouldn't mind an extra hole or two added to this. But it's also, as I said, it's worth noting and not a problem, because on the inside of the strap, we can see it is loaded with these feet, the rubber feet throughout the inside of strap, which will keep it snugger and keep it a little bit more wrapped around our wrist rather than sliding around because of all these feet. But again, if you have bigger wrists than I do, this is a non-issue. But if you have smaller wrists, it's just worth noting. And I am glad that they have these feet designed in there to keep it fitting at least somewhat snug for someone like me who has smaller wrists and like to wear their watches on the snug side. So really nice job on the strap overall. We can just see how pliable it is. They just did a nice job with it. There's their signed buckle. It has a nicely polished ceramic bezel inlay with really nice turn action. So let's have a listen. Just really pleasant ratcheting on here and no backplate. Epos just does a really good job with their watches. I've reviewed a few Epos and I always like the quality of their watches. And I think the quality of this is on par with other similarly priced watches such as the Longines Hydro Conquest or the Yama Superman. I think the Epos is on par with that. They just do a really nice job on the quality. And this one, in this case, also really nice aesthetics on the 3504 titanium. The retail price on this, as is on the rubber strap, is $1,492. On the NATO strap, it's $1,411. Or on the titanium bracelet, it tops out at $1,693. So I think this is a really nice value-made watch for what we're getting. Again, Epos is a Swiss-made watch that's been around for quite some time. And it is on par with other dive watches, like I mentioned earlier. So if we're looking for that dive watch with a little bit more, I think a little bit more unique look to it, with the Arabic numerals here and a really gorgeous style, and a size, I think 41.5 millimeters works, because for me my sweet spot is 38 to 44 millimeters. For me, 40 to 42 millimeters for a dive watch is my preference. So I think 41.5 millimeters is that nice sweet spot. And I think the 3504 titanium fits that for me. So if you're looking for that quality watch that I think is different, unique, and on par with some of the other dive watches that we are familiar with, and I think Epos's 3504 titanium is definitely worth a closer look. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.